This Hailey Bieber is speaking up after fans suggested she was trying to hide a baby bump under her gown at Sunday's Grammy Awards. So Hailey posts, quote, "I'm not pregnant, leave me alone." And she's certainly not the first celebrity to have to do this. So, Julie, we're gonna start with you. Why are people still asking this question?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but honestly, people just make small talk, and often women are like the people that they think they can just indulge. Now, this has never happened to me. I've never been asked if I was pregnant when I was pregnant, but I did mess around with some people when I was pregnant. So one time my husband and I went to a dealership to buy a new little SUV. So we're going around. My husband and I are equal partners in our marriage, and we're both buying this SUV. But the guy was only talking to my husband. And the only time he looked at me was when he opened the trunk and proudly showed it to me and said, "Now, this will be useful to you when you're walking around with the stroller and the baby." Oh. And I said, "What are you talking about? I'm not pregnant." Oh. And he turned so white. I was so super pregnant. I was like 8 months pregnant. But he was like this old man. He didn't like mean harm. They rarely do, but still I had to get back at him. So I made him feel really bad, had a heart attack on the spot, and then probably never did it again.
So Julie, did they get your business?
They did not. And it wasn't because of that. It was just because we found a car that we liked better. Another SUV. I'm not a minivan person, but yes,
Kelly,
we went elsewhere.
Kelly, you have two kids. So talk about this idea of like people calling it or trying to call it when you're pregnant. Did this happen to you?
In a way, when I had my first pregnancy, I was like super precious about it. I had a secret Facebook group with all of my relatives because that's where all the Native people are. We're on Facebook. And when I announced that I was pregnant, everybody said, "I knew it." And it kind of like burned me up inside because I felt like, that was my news to share. Yes. And when I'm ready, I'll tell it to you. But I also have to tell you that when I was pregnant with my second, I accidentally outed myself. My husband and I were going to a fancy event and we looked nice. And I was wearing this like strategically ruched dress. And I posted this picture on my social media of us. There it is. And my husband is like protruding his belly on purpose. And that wound up being our accidental pregnancy announcement. And my feed started filling up with all these congratulations. And it was like, well, I was 6 months pregnant and with my second. So it was kind of like, okay, whatever. Sure.
I mean, like Kelly's hitting on something though. I have to say that when I was pregnant, I was working on a show. I was working on Inner Space, and I hadn't told anybody yet. I hadn't told, obviously Jason knew, but I hadn't told, I don't even know if I told my family. I certainly hadn't told my work colleagues. And somebody on Twitter tweeted out, "I was just watching the show today and I can tell Cynthia's pregnant." And I was gutted. I felt violated and invaded. On some level, it's hard to quite unpack, but it did feel like someone was stealing my news and trying to spread gossip around me. But having said that, then the flip side is there's a point at which in your pregnancy where you don't want people to not notice. You don't, like, and I've had this experience with guests. When we had audience get members, they would come up to shake our hands and they could be out to here and I am not going, they could be rubbing it, caressing it, and I am not gonna say, "When are you due?" unless they say, "Ooh," unless they tell me that they're pregnant, because I don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah, well, Joanne on Facebook agrees with you. Joanne says, unless you can literally see a baby exiting the mother, thank you for
even
then, visual.
Even then, don't do it.
It is never okay to ask someone if they are pregnant, and even then, keep your mouth shut. As someone who experienced loss and years of trying to conceive, the question is just so harmful. The things happening in my body are of my concern alone. Thank you so much, Joanna. And yes, I mean, that is definitely something that sensitivity needs to be applied to because, of course, it's not easy for a lot of people to conceive. You might be stepping in a landmine if you're asking someone and they're not, but they haven't. All of that. Yeah. But I also think collectively, in terms of celebrity observation, this particular area of fascination with celebrity pregnancy is a thing I feel like most people are guilty of. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
All of us have called out how inappropriate it is, but all of us have also been fans or observers of famous people. And we've all been like, is Jennifer Aniston pregnant? Is Beyonce pregnant? Is Britney pregnant? Is this person pregnant? We've all participated in these conversations. I am a gossip blogger, a gossip columnist. I'm not particularly interested in celebrity pregnancies. You know this.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure why it's so fascinating. People get pregnant every day.
Except for
It's
Rihanna.
like, whatever.
Rihanna,
But
maybe.
again, great point, Cynthia, because look how collectively out of our minds we got over Rihanna's pregnancy.
I know, but I didn't want to call it too. I think I talked about it right on this show because remember the first paparazzi photos?
Yeah.
She was walking around downtown New York with A$AP Rocky, and she didn't say it, but she was saying it.
Oh
But
my
she
God.
didn't say
She
it.
set them up.
But anyway, yes.